when I played for the third time. But you can do things differently. You can have different relationships with characters, make different decisions, and it kind of plays differently.
Mhm.
So I've been doing that. But I finally kind of ran out of doing it. I'm not really feeling it anymore.
There's a game, I need to look it up. I saw somebody did a brief TikTok about it, and I'm pretty sure it's available on Steam. Hang on, I gotta find it. The premise of it sounds really fucking interesting.
Hellraiser or whatever, that one that's super popular all of a
No.
sudden.
Oh, Helm Miner, isn't it? Or something like
Hell
that?
Miner, I don't know.
This
Hell
one
something.
this one's called Spiritfarer, and
Oh,
it is your job to guide people from the world of the living to the world of the dead, but you have to you have to take them through a journey in their life to fulfill their final wish before you get them into the world of
that
the
sounds
dead.
interesting.
This sounds fucking depressing, but yeah, that's great. Let's just do more of that.
Well, that's the thing about Mass Effect. Main characters die if you make bad decisions. Some of them die that you can't help. In fact, there's one scene in the first game where you have to choose between two of your teammates. One of them's going to die and one of them's going to live, and you have to choose. And the writing is so good that you genuinely start to care about the characters, and you get sad when they die. It's
Wow.
pretty pretty amazing. It's literally that trilogy of games is the best games I've ever played. Story wise, the gameplay is meh. It's not even the kind. It's a shooter. It's not really the kind of game I normally prefer. But the writing is incredible, and when you finish it, you feel lost. Like you say goodbye to the world that the game exists in, and it's
Mhm.
sad. It's like, oh man, I wish there was another one. Then they made a fourth one with all different characters and a totally different thing, and nobody likes it. They say the writing sucks. So I
I
didn't buy that one.
I can't even remember the last game that I felt had like a good story. I've
I
never.
recommend Mass Effect, man. The graphics are a little rough on the first one because it's very old, but the next two are better. The gameplay is slightly different in each game, but overall, it's a third-person shooter. But yeah, the writing is incredible. It really is. I think.
Is it necessary to start with the first version of the game and work through it? Can you jump in at
No, it's
any
not
time?
because if you start with either of the other ones, it gives you like a comic book presentation that's narrated by the main character
Mhm.
that goes over what happened in the previous games and also allows you to make the decisions that you would have had to make during those games just
Mm.
by clicking an option on the uh, comic book.
I'm gonna
I
see
don't know if that's on all of them or just in the legendary edition.
I'm
Because like
gonna
I said,
check and see if it's
the
playable
legendary
on the
edition's like
Steam Deck.
$60 now, but it was on sale for $80 2 weeks ago when I bought it.
It was on Wait a minute. On sale for $80? Or s
8.
Oh, 8. I was like, "Holy fuck, dude."
Yeah. $8.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't paid
Yeah,
more
I'm
than.
not paying 80. I don't even pay $60 for video games anymore. I wait till they're on sale.
Oh my god, I can't even imagine doing that. My son does it all the fucking time, and his PlayStation account is still connected with one of my email accounts. So I get emails like in the middle of the night from PlayStation saying, "Thank you for your purchase for fucking $60 for a fucking game." I don't know. I don't know how a kid at 19 years old has fuck you money the way this kid does.
I don't know, what does he do?
He's working for a landscape company, a tree trimming company up in New Hampshire. But,
Uh,
you know, he's managing.
Not a lot of taxes in New Hampshire, maybe that helps.
Well, that's just sales tax. They don't have a sales tax.
I don't know that much about New Hampshire. I just know the libertarians tried to take it over
It's
several years ago. Like, there was
yeah,
a call to arms for all libertarians to move to New Hampshire and change the laws. I don't know how many went, but I'm sure they changed some of them.
there's a town in Vermont, Killington, Vermont. I think it's Killington that is it's near the border with New Hampshire, and every few years they get a bug up their ass that they secede from Vermont. They legitimately secede and they jump over to New Hampshire. And there'll be a New Hampshire town for a couple 3 years until they get a bug up their ass about New Hampshire. They secede from New Hampshire and go back to Vermont. It's fucking
Really?
ridiculous. Yeah.
I never heard that. Killington's
Yeah.
a ski town. When I lived in
Yeah.
upstate New York, that the mountains up in Killington would be on the ski report that they would do every day on the local news.
Yep. It's a hot spot. Well, we've been recording, so we will have a segment about video games at the
Yeah, that's
onset
cool.
here.
I recommend Mass Effect to anyone who's never played it, especially you. I'll gift you a copy if you give me your Steam account. Do you have a Steam account, I assume?
Yeah. Well, don't do that until I determine that it's playable on the Steam Deck, because not all Steam games are playable on the Steam Deck. So I'll look it up.
That's true. Let me look.
And it's
probably
weird.
frozen now, right?
They've got they'll say there's like different levels of playable, manageable, miserable, and different things for compatibility with the Steam Deck for some reason.
Yeah, they do list those on the store pages now, whether they're playable or not.
Oh, yeah,
whether they're playable on Steam Deck.
Yeah.
So I'm looking on this. Says playable. Steam Deck compatibility, playable.
Cool.
And then there's some caveats. How do I fucking shut that sound off that's playing? Ugh. All right, it says the game's launcher setup tool may require the touchscreen or virtual keyboard, and entering some text requires manually invoking the on-screen keyboard. Everything else is all green checks.
Yeah, that's common. Yeah, cool. My account's WJ Hamill #1. Just one. WJ Hamill 1. So what do you mean gifted to me? How do you do that?
How long it's been since I've added a friend on Steam? I don't even know how to do it anymore.
I didn't even know you could do it.
Friends.
I've got like
yeah, you can. I got my brother and my son on here as friends.
See, I want the lighting in my room to stay just the way you see it right now, but then all of a sudden it will get bright, and I don't know if it has to do with...
All right, say what your name is again.
WJ Hamill 1. The number 1. See, now it's bright again. Fucker. Maybe I'll close the blinds.
It doesn't find you.
What?
Yeah.
Is that better?
It says can't find who you're looking for. There are no users that match your search. WJ Hamill.
Hang on.
Nope. All right. Well, we can sort that out another time.
Getting situated here. I got all fucked up. I went to get my Steam Deck and verify what my username was.
I'm using my external camera today because I look blurry with my onboard one.
I gotta resituate. I don't know how people do this. Oh, do you know who Ethan Klein is?
Yeah, the H3 podcast guy.
Fuck him. Fuck him. Fuck him in his ass.
Why? What'd he do? I normally like him.
He made derogatory statements about Aaron Bushnell.
Yeah.
And
I didn't see them.
I'll send you the TikToks.
He is Israeli. I don't know if that.
Yeah, he is. And his wife, is she Arab or?
She's Israeli too.
Yeah, fuck him. I mean, literally, just he's always given me a weird vibe. I know he's got some fucking mental health issues, but the statements he made are unforgivable. Anyway, there's a dog behind me. Norman Rockwell painting. She is. All right, so this is a thing we do.
All right, welcome to the podcast, Leftist Lens. Here we are.
Ta-da!
Depressed as ever about the state of the world.
Ta-da! Pulling up the outline here. So you had the thing about the union busting shit that's going on. I did not know about the Supreme Court cases. Is it just...
Yeah, there's 3 of them, one from each of those companies, Amazon, SpaceX, and Trader Joe's. They each have separate lawsuits that the Supreme Court could use to rule that the NLRB is unconstitutional. And that'll be the end of protections for unions.
What's the basis for their complaint? Other than they don't
I don't know. It's the usual, usual basis that conservatives always come up with. It's not, the Constitution doesn't have the NLRB in it, so it must be unconstitutional. You know?
I'm, and this isn't speaking directly to whether or not the Supreme Court would side pro or anti-union, but I'm more inclined now to back off of presumptions about how the Supreme Court is going to rule, because they've ruled some things that were not how we thought they were going to rule, that didn't necessarily work against people that we're interested.
That's true, but the fact that they chose to hear all three cases is weird to me.
Well, I don't think it would be odd if they only chose one, but they chose, and these are separate cases, right?
Yeah, they're separate.
It would have
They're
been
separate,
odd.
and they've all three of them been going through, the court system for years. They're just now getting to the Supreme Court.
And they haven't gotten their way, obviously, in the other levels of the court system. That's why they're there. But it would have been odd. It must have been an all or nothing for the Supreme Court. They couldn't just choose to hear one of them if there's some relationship between the three. They're affecting the same outcome. They would have. It's either all or nothing, and I think it was. I don't know. We'll see, right?
Well, unions are more important than ever, and the fact that there's been a lot of increased support for unions nationwide, right, from the average person.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't sit well with me that all of a sudden we got the Supreme Court hearing these three cases, and they're all doing it this term, which I don't know, how long is the term, like 6 weeks or something? I forget.
So this is the same, or wait, no, there's another term in April, right? Or no?
I honestly don't really know how the terms work. I know they do like a few weeks, and then they take a few weeks off while they decide what to hear in the next term, and then they do a few more weeks.
Because I
don't know how it all works.
The Supreme Court has said that they will hear the Trump immunity case in April. So I don't know if that's part of the same term or.
Yeah, it probably is. I don't know.
Back on the union thing, though, did you see the clip of the Austin City Commission was going to vote to legitimize a union for the YouTube music employees, 100 or so employees?
Yeah, and then Google fired them all while they were at the hearing.
Yeah, and I've seen. I am trying to be as objective about this as possible. It didn't. First of all, they didn't work for Google. They worked for a company that was subcontracted to Google. Okay, I don't. How relevant that is, I'm not saying. But what Google did was they terminated the contract with that company. Is it just coincidence, or was it related to the fact that they wanted to unionize? I don't know that we'll ever know the answer to that.
You can't really know that, but Google is known for union busting, as is Facebook, as is Starbucks, as is Amazon. None of them want unions, and they fire people all the time for trying to organize unions, which they're not supposed to be able to do. But unfortunately, so many states have the at-will employment laws, so they can fire you for any reason or no reason at all, and they just use that. So I don't know. I don't think I'm ever going to work again. I need the crypto market to go to the moon so I don't ever have to work again, because making other people rich with my labor pisses me off to no end.
Yeah.
But while we're talking about unions, you'll see on there, I got a train derailed yesterday, and it was a Norfolk Southern, which is the same one that derailed in East Palestine, Ohio several months ago. It's leaking oil into the creek and stuff. They say that there's no risk for anything. Well, it's not that far from Philadelphia. I know Philadelphia doesn't get their water from the creek that it's leaking into, but that creek drains into something else, which drains into something else, which drains into something else. And eventually, that all spreads, but it's leaking oil. Norfolk Southern said they're going to take over the scene and clean it all up, and nothing to worry about. But that got me thinking also about, before that Norfolk Southern train derailed in East Palestine, Ohio several months ago, the rail workers union was trying to strike because they knew something like that was going to happen, and they were worried about safety, and they were trying to strike. And Biden used his power as the executive to stamp down that strike.
I remember that. Yeah.
It's another reason not to vote for that guy. And I'm getting tired of the liberals on TikTok and Twitter and everywhere else telling me that a vote, if I don't vote for Biden, that's the same thing as voting for Trump. No, the fuck it isn't. Voting for Biden when he's not okay. His entire platform in 2020 was save our democracy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now it's 4 years later, and that's still his platform.
Hmm.
What the fuck did he do?
Now, well, if that's still his platform,
He appointed Merrick Garland, the softest attorney general you could appoint, to handle getting rid of Donald Trump and putting him where he needs to be. And I'm still pissed that not a single one of the Congress people that were involved in the insurrection have faced any charges. I know Jack Smith is investigating them and charges are likely to come, but it's been years. They should have come by now.
Oh, fuck yes. This is the pace at which any of this is happening is it's infuriating, and it's only facilitating a terrible thing in 260 some odd days from now. The shit's gonna hit the fan. Great, the shit's gonna hit the fan. I'm more endeared to the fact that the shit hits the fan and everything just fucking crashes than thinking that justice is ever going to come for the people that have uprooted everything for us.
Now here's the problem: if you don't support the genocide in Gaza, in Palestine, you don't support what he did busting the union, the rail workers union, that we continue to have derailments because he did that. If you don't support that stuff and you want him to do better, how does voting for him when he did nothing incentivize anyone to do better? Mm-hmm. If the Democrats can constantly just say, if you don't vote for us, it'll be worse, and that's all, and that's enough to get you to vote for them, they have no incentive to ever do better.
You're right. And
so I don't want Trump to be president. I really don't. But how do I reward Joe Biden for the things he's done? He's done a lot of good things, but he's done some glaringly terrible things.
Well, let's be honest. It's not up to the individual whether or not they are the nominee for the party. It is the DNC that holds the cards in terms of who is going to be their nominee. The fact that they're the primary, like you said in there, Super Tuesday is coming, it doesn't fucking matter because everything's predetermined. So it's the DNC. How are they, in the face of everything that you just stated, still saying that Joe Biden is our savior? What? The DNC is fucking is bad.
You know, I know I'm just kind of bouncing around here, but this just popped in my head too. It's not on the outline. But this week, a group of parliamentarians in Europe from lots of countries wrote a letter condemning Israel for their genocide.
I saw that.
And supporting Palestine. And 2 American congresspeople signed it. It's amazing.
Who were they?
Cori Bush and Rashida Tlaib.
Cori Bush. Oh, no, I'm thinking Cory Booker. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, Cori Bush. That's fine. Yeah, and Rashida Tlaib got fucking censured by Congress, didn't she?
Yep. But of 500 and how many Congress people are? 550 something?
Mm-hmm.
2 of them signed it. Whereas in like other countries, like lots of people signed it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I don't live in Minnesota, and I don't actually know where Cori Bush is from, but I don't get to vote for her either. So,
yeah.
Fuck. Lord. Indeed. Fuck.
I have several mutuals on TikTok who may or may not be mentally stable, but they are.
Well, I'm one of them. I'm one of them. I'm not mentally stable.
They are orchestrating their behaviors internally in their own local orbit, very intentionally to prepare for major disruptions in multiple systems by the end of this year. And these people were not previously preppers, and I'm not saying they're preppers, but they're taking common sense steps to be prepared for a lack of access to basic resources at the end of this year. And
Yeah.
I've done the same thing to some degree. I'm not really thinking about it that much, but I have a generator. I have been contemplating, because I've got a little backyard area. It's super, super tiny, but I could set up like 5-gallon buckets and grow some vegetables back there. And I live in an area where I can grow stuff pretty much year round. But yeah, if it happens.
Speaking of that, right after last week's episode, I saw an article in the local paper here that somebody is suing to get the right to raise chickens.
Oh yeah.
In the city. They want to be able to raise chickens in the city I live in, and they're suing, and it's going through the courts. So maybe all that stuff I said about it not being illegal for me to grow food might change.
Chickens is a hell of a task. I have a great level of respect for people who can raise chickens, because it's not easy to do. And it's not even easy to get chickens to lay eggs. There's the conditions in terms of how much light they get and how much dark and calcium in their feed and blah, blah, blah. It's hard to get chickens to lay eggs. So anybody's that's successful.
I remember there was a thing on TikTok where everybody that had chickens was talking about their chickens stopped laying eggs for like a month. Do you remember that?
No.
And it was something with the feed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was something with the feed, like the popular feed that everybody buys, I guess. They did like something happened to it and the chickens wouldn't lay eggs anymore. And then people switched their feed and they started laying eggs again.
Yeah. Yep. Chickens.
I don't know if I could keep a bunch of chickens alive. I definitely couldn't butcher them. I've seen those things where you put the whole chicken in this little thing and it strips all the feathers off. Have you ever seen one of those?
It's no matter how you do it, it's a mess. Because I grew up on a dairy farm. We had chickens also, and we had to butcher chickens once a year. And the other method is after you dispatch the life out of them, you dunk them into boiling water and then pull the feathers off, and the smell is fucking horrible. It's awful.
Yeah,
it's got to be a better way. Or they need to engineer a chicken that doesn't have feathers. They need to engineer a chicken that is just chicken butt. The chicken butt, it's just fat. But there's Chinese restaurants that will cook that and it's just that, and it's super crispy and super good. If they could have a chicken that is just chicken butt, I'd be happy.
Well, I mean, they're working on weird stuff. I just saw a thing on, I don't know if it was on YouTube or TikTok today, where they put cow stem cells into grains of rice and grew beef rice.
What?
Yeah, it's rice. It's rice that has muscle and fat in it.
Oh. No. Who has been lobbying for that to be a thing? It's not even.
Well, honestly, it's because, I guess cattle farms in particular, there's a lot of methane production there.
Oh yeah,
and it's one of the larger contributors to climate change is the cattle industry. So there's a lot of people that don't want to be vegans, but they, would like to have less cattle farms, I guess. So that's why they're doing that stuff. Hell, there's another. I'm just going off on tangents here.
It's fine.
I don't know if this is going to turn out a good episode that way, but there's also scientists. There's also scientists that are taking human neurological cells and creating little brains.
Oh yeah, the brain organelles,
and attaching them to robots.
Well, no. Well, yeah, that. But when they did this, this has been going on for a few years. They created those little organelles, and the organelles on their own developed eyes. They developed specific. The cells differentiated out to a light sensing group of cells that it was essentially a primordial eye, and this all happened on its own.
I'm generally in favor of most science. I like, new technology. I like learning more about the world we live in. I don't know how I feel about them using human stem cells to create little brain things that are alive. I mean, they're basically alive. That's just creepy as hell.
Well,
And I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know if you remember, but it happened in China, and it's probably more than 10 years ago that there was a Chinese researcher who um, stepped out of bounds and did some genetic modifications to some human embryos, that it was for a fertility clinic. And I don't think that he had the consent of the mother to do this, but he did it. And what the modification was that he did was he made those embryos immune to HIV. And so now these children were born. These children are now teenagers. And I can't remember how many there were. There were 3, 5, or 6 of them or something. And the Chinese government, first of all, found out that this guy did this, and they put him in prison. And the Chinese government has protected the identity of who these families are. And you will never find out who they are. But obviously the mother, the father, and the kids know who they are. And, so the fact that they're immune to HIV, what's the downside to that? There is no downside to that. But the fact that he did not follow, and he never would have gotten consent from whatever research board exists in China to do this, it simply would have been shot down. The only way it was ever going to happen was for somebody to go, I keep wanting to use the phrase go off the reservation, but that's a horrible thing to say. So I'm not going to say that. I didn't say it. I'll edit that out. The only way it was ever going to happen is for somebody to go out of bounds. And he was the first person to do it. And unfortunately, he did it in a country where they don't tolerate shit, and they're going to fuck you over pretty goddamn quick without due process. So then whatever the next leap is going to be somebody else going out of bounds and doing something phenomenal that doesn't have a downside. There's no downside to this. So
is our background changing colors, or am I high?
The background?
Yeah, no, like the yellow and the blue, they're moving.
No. The yellow, it's yellow up in this corner, yellow down in this corner, and then goes blue to blue the opposite way.
And then it changes. And then it changes.
You're fucking right. It's changing. I didn't know it did that. Now it's like half and half, right?
Yeah.
Left and right. I had no idea. Anyway, this is the whole thing is it's almost like, and we talked about this, I think last week, the Oppenheimer movie, how the development of nuclear energy, just the principles of nuclear fission and fusion was inevitable. It was going to happen. And so I think the evolution of genetic engineering within humans, and we've been doing it with plants and animals forever. And the whole boogeyman of GMO is bullshit. The whole basis of fear of GMO foods and such is just pure nonsense. But we've been doing it forever, like literally forever. You've seen the pictures of what corn
lemons.
Lemons is a good example.
Corn, lemons, carrots, all that stuff didn't. I mean, hell, cauliflower, broccoli, kale. I think they're all the same plant.
Yeah,
they just
vegetables. Yeah,
selectively bred at different directions to get different stuff.
Yeah. So it reminds me of the video I made this week about the congresswoman saying she doesn't support IVF because it's going to make human animal chimeras. And and it reminded me of the Val Kilmer and Marlon Brando movie, The Island of Dr. Moreau. And I had to put those clips in there because they work so well. But that's never going to be a thing. It's just not.
Want to just throw out the outline and just talk about stuff? This is fun. It's not as depressing.
It's true. Yeah. I don't know.
I watched Poor Things today.
Oh, I downloaded it. I haven't watched it yet.
It is very weird. Very weird.
It's got Mark
I thought the
Ruffalo and
acting was incredible. The acting was incredible, but the set design, the storyline, all of it is very weird.
it's a period piece, right?
Yeah, it's an alternate reality period piece. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Hmm.
Um, I downloaded that as well as a couple other things, but the one I started watching this morning was the new Adam Sandler movie called Spaceman.
Spaceman. I downloaded that too. I haven't watched it yet. I might watch it tonight.
I'm only about a third of the way through, and I don't have high hopes for it. It's
No, so I could skip it.
well, I'm hoping that the end.
Is he trying to win an Oscar? Is it one of those?
Oh God, no! It can't be. It's got
No,
this is. I had a contract to do this many movies, and I needed one more to complete the contract movie.
but it's not a comedy, is it?
No, 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 no. It's. I'm hoping, and I haven't finished it yet, so I don't have the full story, but I'm hoping that there's a twist at the end that redeems it, because if it's all a hallucination, it's a fucking waste of time. That reminds me, I've been talking about this all week with friends of mine, that I'm trying to get my social anxiety under control so that I can tolerate going to see the new Dune movie tomorrow in IMAX by myself. I don't go to movies alone. I think that's weird.
Okay, so I got to tell you, I didn't used to either until the Great Recession,
Yeah.
when I lost my job and I was in Atlanta, and that was like the only thing I could afford to do. And after you do it a couple of times, you'll realize it's not weird. First of all, I don't know about where you live, but there's usually not that many people in the movie theater, so it's
Well,
not that weird. I mean, it's a little different than when I was a teenager and I went to see Showgirls and I saw my math teacher in there alone. That was a little weird, but because yeah, that happened. Um, but yeah, going to see movies alone isn't too bad. It's dark in there, nobody cares, nobody's looking at you.
I haven't been
It's
in a
fine.
I haven't been in a theater since 2019. So I haven't gone to a
Yeah.
theater to see a movie since
I mean, I don't
right.
go to movies that often. I do sometimes go see the Marvel movies because I don't like. Well, I used to. I haven't lately, but because it's hard to avoid spoilers. Like when the Infinity Saga was going on, I didn't want to have the storyline spoiled, so I would go see it in the theater right away so I could
Oh, I
safely
see.
use the internet.
Yeah, and I've been
But other,
avoiding anything that's hashtag Dune or Dune 2, because, and it's not like I don't know the story. Duh, of course I know the
yeah,
story.
I
But
I watched the first Dune, like, and I only got part of the way through it, and I found it incredibly boring,
wait a minute. You mean
and I didn't finish it.
the first new Dune movie,
Not
or
the
the
1981. I mean the one, the Timothy Chalamet Zendaya
really?
one.
That's because you didn't know the
Yeah,
but you didn't so you've never seen the original then, the Frank Herbert one, but
I'm pretty sure I did. I don't really remember it though.
it doesn't it
I
that
mean, I probably did in the 90s. I know it came out in like 84 or 85. I probably saw it. It
yeah.
looked When I see clips from it, it looks familiar, but I don't really have a strong memory of it.
It's absolutely terrible. The Frank Herbert version of Dune, and he hated making it because he knew the books and he knew the technology didn't exist to make this movie properly, and it's a cult favorite because it's campy as fuck. But it's absolutely horrible. I can't stand suffering through clips of that original movie. But the first the Denis Villeneuve Dune movie that came out 2 years ago, it's fucking
Yeah.
phenomenal. I don't know how you could be bored with it.
All
You
right, I
should.
should give it another try. I tried watching it and didn't really get into it, but like I said, I probably only watched a half an hour of it or something.
Oh God, yeah, you got to watch the whole thing. It's super good.
Well, I still have it. It's on my Plex.
Yeah, the only reason that I'm aspiring to go see this tomorrow is because it's in IMAX and it's meant to be.
Yeah, I don't have an IMAX theater around here.
Oh, well, I do, but I don't, because what I learned about IMAX is that there's only like 5 real IMAX theaters in the country. And all the other ones that advertise as IMAX, it's not really IMAX. There's a component missing that doesn't make the certification. So
Huh.
Yeah, there's literally only 5 IMAX theaters in the country or something like that, but mine is not one of them. But had I never known that, I wouldn't have cared. Now I'm cursed with that knowledge, but I'm still going to go. And it's like $25 a person. That's why when you said during the Great Recession for yourself that was the only thing you could afford to do, I'm like, what the fuck, dude? That's expensive.
Yeah, well, it was like 2009, and matinees I think were like $3 still.
Oh
So
yeah. So that was before. Did you do Movie Pass when Movie Pass was a thing?
no, I didn't.
That was fucking phenomenal. I
Yeah, I
milked
just didn't. I thought about it, but I didn't see myself using it enough. I was like,
I
yeah, I won't. I don't
milked
go to
I
movies that
milked
much.
that bitch to death. My wife, I was married at the time, and we
But
paid.
you know what? You know what I did do? I bought Movie Pass stock.
Oh yeah, sure. And I hope you dumped it
That went to
before.
zero. Good job, Matt. That went to
Oh,
zero
you didn't
pretty quick.
sell it before it tanked?
Nope. I
Oh
lost all my money. Went
God.
all the way to zero.
Yeah, we paid before they started putting restrictions on it. We paid $9 a month for the subscription, and then we saw it was multiple movies a week until we ran out of movies to see. We saw every movie at every theater that would accept it, and then we'd see movies twice. And it was like, yeah, but we're getting our $6 worth, but there was no reason to be there. Oh God. So yeah, I'm probably gonna go see that tomorrow.
All right. Well, let me know how it is. But I'll try to watch the one that I gave up on. Maybe I'll watch that tonight instead of Spaceman, since Spaceman doesn't seem good according to you.
It's at this point they haven't answered the critical question about whether or not he's hallucinating. There's a high probability that he is because there's no real story connecting how whatever's happening is actually happening because it doesn't make any sense. And it's a lot of speculation at this point. I'll power through it tonight to see if it changes, but the reviews haven't been good. The reviews have been
Yeah.
terrible.
Speaking of reviews, you ever going to see Madam Web that everybody says is terrible?
Who?
Madam Web. It's Sony. It's in the Spider-Man universe, I guess. It's a Marvel comic book, but Sony owns the rights to it, so it's a Sony movie.
Never heard of it.
It's in theaters now, but everybody, it's Sydney Sweeney and Dakota Johnson and
So
someone else. I don't know. It's
this is a new Marvel character they're bringing into the universe, or I mean,
it's not an MCU movie. It is a Marvel comic book, but it's a Sony movie.
kind of like how
Sony owns all the Spider-Man
yeah. I was gonna say
stuff, but they've decided to like lend Disney Spider-Man, but they still have all the ancillary characters Sony still owns the rights to. So they put out this movie. So Madam Web is I guess she can see the future or something, and then at some point she dresses like Spider Person, like Spider Girl or whatever. I don't know. I've seen the trailers for it. I don't read comic books. Do you read comic books?
I used to, not anymore.
Yeah, I never really have. I knew the characters from Saturday morning cartoons. There was Justice League cartoons, and there was a Spider-Man cartoon that was really good.
Yeah.
That was on in the afternoons. I used to watch that all the time. Hell, I used to watch that when I was in college.
Well,
So that's how I knew those characters.
I used to my oldest son. I used to sneak him out of kindergarten early in the afternoon so we could get home in time to watch Dragon Ball Z. So that was my guilty pleasure. So you're going to have to talk about this because you understand this on a level that I completely, like when I texted you earlier and told you about SHIB coin, and you came back with this response. I didn't understand a fucking thing you were saying, but here's what I've noticed, that over the past couple years, when Doge has been stagnant and I bought the shit out of SHIB because it was really, really low, is that there was a direct relationship between how if Doge went up 1%, SHIB would go up the same percent. And as soon as Doge went down, SHIB went down. They both stayed in sync. Today,
yeah,
that's not the case. SHIB is
Yeah, Doge is
outpacing.
going sideways
Yeah.
and SHIB's going up.
How did that relationship get broken?
Well, they'll start moving together again after the halvening. So
Okay, talk
this
about
is
that
what
because you've said that to me several times. What are you talking about?
okay, so the way Bitcoin is the granddaddy of all crypto. And the way new Bitcoin is made is people mine it using GPUs, right? So
It's why I can't afford to build a new PC because of those motherfuckers.
yeah, they're basically solving math problems, and every time you solve one, it creates a new Bitcoin, and you get paid, you get compensated for it as the person who mined it.
Mm-hmm.
And the reward, currently, they get 30 Bitcoin when they mine it, right? You get 30. Well, every so many transactions, and it's a set number, the reward gets cut in half, and that's already happened several times.
Okay.
It's going to be happening again in April. And so the reward is going to go from 30 to 15. So that reduces the supply, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it's also happening at the same time that the SEC has approved Bitcoin ETFs so that your grandpa can have Bitcoin in his mutual fund, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these institutions are buying right now, the miners are creating about 900 Bitcoin per week. And the institutions that are selling these Bitcoin ETFs are buying 10,000. So normally the price doesn't shoot up until after the halvening because that restricts the supply, but the supply's already shrunk because of demand. Demand is way up. So that's why we're kind of having the bull run starting a little early. But when the halvening happens, which will be in April sometime, that's when everything's really going to go nuts. And before that, there's usually a little pullback. So you might see stuff go down. But here's the thing. Don't hold your SHIB past probably June of 2025. Just don't, because it's going to go back down to where it was, right? It might have a ride for like the next 18 months, but then it's going to shit the bed again.
That's a year and a half. That's a year and a half from now.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to have the next year and a half is going to be fun. There's going to be.
Yeah, I'm glad I've held on to it. I'd considered dumping it because I was tired, because I thought it was going to wind up like SafeMoon, because I have got billions of SafeMoon, and for all practical purposes, it's gone. I've lost everything I put into SafeMoon.
Because they stopped developing it. So like, as long as somebody is still actively developing it and it's still actively trading, then it can get to another bull run. And that's why crypto is so predictable. I mean, you can't predict how it's going to move on a daily basis, but you can predict how it's going to move on an annual basis pretty much. So yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. I just saw this one guy on Twitter posted he put $19 into some token 2 months ago, and it's worth 80 grand now. I was like, man, I need to find one of those. These are the meme coins. That's what SHIB is. It doesn't do anything. It has no practical purpose. It's just people think it's funny, so they buy it. That's what PP is. I sold my PP too soon. It's going right along with SHIB. It's skyrocketing.
You shouldn't say that too often. That's because I've got like 4.5 million SHIB, and I've thought maybe I should, like right now before it climbs too much. I mean, when I say climbs too much, it's still 0.00004 or something. Should just fucking quadruple down now and then just sit on that for the next year. Right? I should do this. I need you to nod.
You can. I mean, it might be more worth your while to find a new one. In fact, AI coins are expected to be the kings of this next bull run. So I have one. I have one bag of one. I'm trying to find some other AI coins with low market caps to get into. That's the one thing too many crypto traders don't look at is the market cap. Nothing is going to hit the market cap of Bitcoin. Okay. So somebody tells you SHIB's going to go to $1. No, the fuck it isn't. Look at how many tokens there exist in the world, how many SHIB tokens exist. Like, I don't know how many it is, but it's probably trillions or quadrillions, right?
Yeah.
You multiply that by the price, that's the market cap. That is literally how much money is invested in it. people will be telling you that coins are going to a certain price, where every dollar that exists in the world would have to be invested into that coin to make it hit that price. It ain't fucking happening. So, Bitcoin has like a 1 trillion dollar market cap. The entire crypto market is 2 trillion. So not every coin is going to $1.
I wouldn't.
Just saying.
$1 is ridiculous. If Doge could go to 50 cents, and if fucking SHIB could make it to a penny, I'm done.
Doge will go to 50 cents. Doge will go to 50. Doge will probably go to $1. It probably will. On this bull run, it probably will. It went to 74 cents on the last bull run, and usually everything goes a little bit higher on the next one.
Yeah, that was the one where I sold at 18. It got to 8.
Well, it's 15 cents today. I know, because I bought some Doge today.
Yeah, it was 14 yesterday, so it's 15 today. It is moving.
I bought some Doge because it's gonna go to $1 probably. But I can't afford millions of Doge anymore. Once upon a time, I could have.
I know. I was, in fact, at the point where the first stimulus check came out, that somebody did the math, and if you spent your stimulus check strictly on Doge at that point, and then bailed on it when it got to 75 cents or whatever it got to, you would have $350,000. Like, fuck. I could have done
there's
that.
lots of those.
So,
well, I emptied out my stock trading account because I'm not good at it. I thought I was, but I'm not. I'm struggling. I'm making money here and there, like $10 here, $20 there. Then I lost $50. I'm like, I'm better off right now with the bull market coming, being in crypto. So I took all my money out of my brokerage account, which takes a few days to transfer. So that'll hit my bank account probably tomorrow. And then I'm going to put all that into crypto. I got some new coffee that's delicious. I'm going to brew coffee to get my focus up. I'm going to sit at my computer all week and just try to find that coin I can put $20 in that'll later become 80,000. That's what I do.
Wait a second. When you say so you cashed out your stocks? You're taxed on that, right?
No, you're taxed on your profits. Yeah. My profit was like $17. I'll get taxed on that.
Oh, okay.
No big deal. I only had $400 in there, and now I have $377 in there. So actually, I have a loss. Some of that's not a loss. I think I have a profit from trading. The rest, the loss is from commission.
Yeah,
commission fees. But anyway, I cashed out $377 out of my brokerage account. Now, most of that was never even invested in stocks. Because when you do, I was doing vertical spreads. Those are cheap as hell. Like they're like $20, $30. Because you buy 100 shares and sell 100 shares at the same time, but at different prices, and you hope to. You only have to pay. You don't have to pay for the shares. You have to pay for the premium that you're paying to whoever you're borrowing the shares from, and that's really cheap. But it limits your ability to profit, but it also limits your losses. You can only lose what you paid, like $30 at a time or something. But anyway, yes. So I had money on my brokerage account to do those options trades, but I figured I'd be better off in crypto, so I cashed that out. Like I said, that'll hit my bank account tomorrow, and then I'll be putting it in crypto. Plus, I'm going to start doing crypto futures again, because I did those during the last bull run and made some money doing that. But the exchange that I use for that says they can't service me because I'm American. And they used to be able to, but now they can't. So I'm going to use my VPN and be British or something and trade futures on KuCoin.
Well, that's the thing too, is you're talking about these AI coins. You have to, would you go through Coinbase or something to buy those?
No. I buy Ethereum on Coinbase, and then I send it to my MetaMask wallet.
Yeah.
And then you buy the coins wherever you have to buy them from.
Because when I was buying SafeMoon, it was a complicated fucking process. You had to do this thing called Pancake Swap and convert. Oh fuck, man! That was so
Yeah,
confusing.
PancakeSwap is the Ethereum based one, right?
I don't
Yeah.
know. I hated it.
Uniswap. No, Uniswap is Ethereum. PancakeSwap is Ethereum too, I think. Or maybe it's BNB. I forget. Anyway, yeah. But no, because the 0x0.ai, the AI coin I have, I bought that from their website. You just have to have a MetaMask wallet, which you have to use PancakeSwap too. So you probably have one.
I probably do, but I don't remember. I'm sure I don't have the keys. I don't remember. I will never be able to get into it. I'm
Oh,
probably
if you don't have the keys, I hope you don't have money in there.
well, I lost all the money I had in there because all that money went to SafeMoon. That's the
All
only
you had
other
was SafeMoon.
that's all I had. Yeah. And I had put like $75 into SafeMoon. I thought, yeah, shit, that's gonna be 7.5 million in a month. No, it's $75 gone. I worked with a guy who was the PMO for our contract, and he had put like 15 grand into SafeMoon. He lost all of that. He
Yeah.
and he was like so psyched, and he and I used to talk about it at work all the time, and he was like already planning his retirement, and he was going to buy a boat and sail the world, and now he's probably begging for a blowjob under the overpass somewhere.
Yeah, those meme coins that don't serve a purpose, like they have no use case, like SHIB, like SafeMoon. You can make a lot of money on those, but they are always at risk of going to zero. Always.
Yeah, well, from the time I bought was when the hype was the highest, and it never went up. But the thing was, I wasn't watching for it to go up because the way that it was set up is that they would they would give you coin. They would generate coin and give it back to you. So
Yeah.
then what they decided to do, I hadn't looked at it for months and months and months, and I went on the Reddit thread for it, and people were just fucking roasting it. And what they had done was they moved the fucking decimal point. So instead of 14 million SafeMoon tokens, I had 14. I'm like, wait a minute. That means that the function that they have where it generates kickback for you is that many decimal points lower than what it was, and it seemed like I got screwed. I was
Well, you did
unhappy.
get screwed because SafeMoon went to zero, right?
Pretty close.
Did it go to zero? I don't know. I mean, I owned SafeMoon too at one point, but I sold it long before it crashed.
You can't go on the shocker here. You can't go on the SafeMoon subreddit and talk in any way derogatory about SafeMoon. If you even allude to the fact that SafeMoon sucks, they fucking ban you from that subreddit. It's such a
Huh.
fucking awful. It's Reddit. Reddit's awful.
Yeah, I
Oh,
told you I don't go to Reddit anymore since they banned my third party app that I use to access it, Apollo. I don't go to Reddit.
I never
That's
even
not true.
knew.
Sometimes I do, but
Yeah, I never even knew there were
here,
third party apps.
actually, here's another thing to talk about. So I get push notifications from the Reddit app on my phone from subreddits that I've never been to,
Mm-hmm.
am not a member of,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe I like was talking about it or
Mm-hmm.
something.
Yeah.
It blows my mind.
Oh, I've been getting those forever. You
I
might
hate
also,
that.
yeah, well, yeah. It comes with a header that says because you looked at this, you might be interested in this. It's kind of like what Google does.
Yeah, I know
But
Google does it. Well, that's
well,
like there was an example I might have actually talked about in this podcast, but I don't remember. I saw it on a TikTok. Somebody used a word that I'd never heard before. Right. So it
Covfefe.
started with L, and my goal was to Google the word to see what it meant. Right.
Yeah,
And when I typed L, it auto completed the word, which
yeah,
was an extremely rare word. I'm like,
yeah,
there's no way that's the most searched L word.
yeah.
There's no way. It had to be listening to my TikTok.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's no doubt. There's stuff that my son and I will talk about on Google Chat that we'll be going off on some topic of something, and then I'll go to either Google or go to TikTok or go to YouTube, and I'll put the first fucking one or two letters of whatever thing we were talking about, and it automatically thinks that's what I'm talking about. The relational database has gotten fucking scary, but I don't see a downside to it unless I'm.
I do. If people have access to that data, I have a problem with it.
Oh, they absolutely have access to that data. There's
Yeah, I don't
no
like
question
that.
about it. That's
I don't
what
like that.
that's why Google's free. That's why, and I pay for YouTube. I do YouTube Premium, but that's why it's free. That's why this stuff doesn't cost us money. It's because they're selling what we're searching for. I don't know.
Right, but is it anonymized? Anonymized? If
I
it's
don't.
anonymized, I'm okay with it. But if they can pin it to me, I don't like that.
Oh, okay. So that reminds me of a story that I saw this week also, and it has to do with that type of information. There was a guy who received a piece of paper mail in his mailbox that was from his gas company or something, just promoting some new feature. And the envelope was addressed to him, and below his name, before his address, the next line was lost his daughter in a car crash. That man had lost his daughter in a car crash years earlier. The way that mistake happened, and they had to issue a huge apology, is they have a database at this particular gas company of who their customers are, and there is a field on that database. One of the columns off to the right has to do with unique identifying characteristics. It might be, bought $1 million home or something. There's other information that you would not normally know that would differentiate these people, and for some reason that's what got into his database entry was his name, address, phone number, account number, and lost daughter in a car crash. And that they did a mass mailing of this promo, and that wound up on the envelope. Can you fucking imagine being that guy? I holy shit.
I
So
couldn't imagine. That would be awful.
it was, yeah.
That first of all, that would probably break my heart getting that thing of mail, and then I would process that for a little bit, and I would be angrier than you could possibly imagine.
Oh, fuck yeah. And I don't know if they compensated him or what. They did issue an apology, and I don't know if he would have had a basis for suing. But I think for emotional damages or something, because holy fuck, and maybe it's because the story of his daughter dying in that car crash was a newspaper story for that town or something, and that's where they pulled that from and tagged it to his account. But yeah, it's fucking. You're right in that context. Having detailed information about somebody's life, and then it gets out there, and it has no business being out there, even though it was out there probably in the media. But the man had made peace with it, and all of a sudden it's in his mailbox. Oh, a dog barked outside. My dog perked up. Anyway, let's wrap the podcast.
My neighbor brought right at the beginning of this podcast, brought his grill we had a windy day, very windy day, like 3 months ago, and his grill blew into his backyard, and it was tipped over, and it's just been sitting there ever since. Well, he just dragged it up, probably because it's 55 and sunny. He's probably grilling something. So my dog is glued to the window, looking at what's happening out there. Every time my dog hears noise outside, he has to go outside to check it out, and he'll just sit by the door. You know, I was
your
talking
dog.
about you, huh?
That one day that we ended the podcast, but your microphone stayed on, you were going down to pick up a pizza or something. Your dog was barking his fool head off the whole time you were gone. I was like, oh, I can't wait to tell him about that.
Yeah, I know he does that. It doesn't bother me though where I live now, because there's whoever lives behind me back there, they have a little yelper that's outside all day yelping all day.
That's what I have across the street.
If my neighbors can deal with that, they can deal with this guy barking when I'm not here.
Yep. Yeah, that little dog.
But when I am here, he's silent, absolutely silent. He doesn't bark at anything.
It's the way she is. And I don't know. I'm going to set up a camera at some point just to see if she does bark at people out in the yard. But there are other people in this neighborhood that walk their dogs right in front of the window, and she'll just sit there and watch them. So she doesn't bark. So I don't think she would do that when I'm not home. But And like the maintenance guys will come in, and it's always a different maintenance guy. And I always tell them, I've got a dog, and she's going to check you out when you come in. But she's never been a problem. It's not like she growls. She's a terrible guard dog. She would never be a guard dog.
What the fuck?
Oh my God, that's a good boy. All right, let's wrap the podcast, and we can go back to this Steam account of mine. Anyway, have a nice week.
All right.
All right, rappity rap.
Yeah, goodbye, everybody. We did this a little bit differently than we usually do, just because we didn't feel like being all depressed and depressing all of you. So we decided to have a bullshit session, and that's what here it is. All right. See you next week.